Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond Action. As always, I'm your host, Merloski. And if you remember last week, we talked about my ideas of how to fix DC, and we talked about the Batman side of things, a more centralized character that we will follow throughout this whole entire storyline. Yes, I will give other character story arcs, and this would be happening simultaneously. So it's not all just like 10 Batman movies and nothing else coming out that year. No, my idea would be everything coming out like kind of simultaneously, but just trying to tell the Arkham Batman storyline, which in my opinion is one of the best Batman storylines. So if you missed last week's episode, it won't be too relevant in this episode since I will be talking about different ideas, but I will try to tie them into last week's episode. So if you haven't already watched last week's episode, then definitely do go back and watch that episode because I do talk about some pretty interesting things. Maybe some of you that don't know a lot about DC might have found it to be a bit more interesting. And maybe some of you that do like DC might not have found it too interesting. But hey, it's just my opinion. And it's just my ideas of what I would have done in this situation. Obviously, in this podcast, we will be talking about my various opinions, theories, and ideas on the entertainment industry. So this is right up where I would like to be. And so I would just like to keep on telling you guys my ideas of how to fix DC. So let's get started just directly into this. I think that we should be building off of other characters, not just Batman. Batman is one of the most important DC characters, if not the face of DC. But I think that we should also give some to the rest of the Justice League. Obviously, you already have Aquaman that has his movie. I think that Man of Steel was the perfect Superman movie. But obviously others disagree with Henry Cavill being Superman and stuff like that. I don't think that the people disagree, but definitely the directors and Warner Studios, definitely they're the people that say, hey, no, we don't want Henry Cavill, which is why he's not reprising his role, which is very sad. Again, I don't have any fan casts for this. I don't really like diving into that because I'm very bad with that. I just know that there are some Batman villains that would fit. And that's all. And so I did say that in the last episode, but I probably won't be saying that very much in this episode. So let's get started with the first movie that I want to talk about today, Superman. I would like to have a a movie that kind of goes into Superman a bit more, kind of like Man of Steel did. Man of Steel did it incredibly. I would want a movie very similar to that. Again, where he fights either General Zod or Lex Luthor. I think that Lex Luthor would be a more interesting villain just for the Superman by himself. Obviously, we have Batman versus Superman where they put both Batman and Superman against Lex Luthor. I didn't like that very much. I think that we should just do Superman against Lex Luthor, man versus alien, just how Lex Luthor is constantly narcissistic and just trying to be better. And then you have Superman that is just an alien from outer space that's not really trying to do much. And so this is Superman's real big test, you know? He's been on Earth for 20 years now. He's obviously grown to his human, his alien/human senses to where he can do all of that. Kind of like it was shown in Man of Steel. Man of Steel did it incredibly. But instead of bringing in General Zod this early, I would like to have a second movie where they bring in General Zod. But in this first movie, I would like him to be in the eye of the public and Lex Luthor trying to take him down. Obviously, he tries to take him down publicly. It doesn't work because Superman is a superhero. All he does is save people. All he wants to do is save people. So why would Lex Luthor just try to take down Superman? Instead, he tries to kind of hire people and media just so that Superman can get caught in the act of something terrible. But it never happens. So Lex Luthor decides to suit up in his kryptonite suit and try to take out Superman. This is where you have Superman fighting his first real big villain, which is Lex Luthor. And obviously Superman doesn't kill, so he takes down Lex Luthor and he lets him live, puts him in prison, and everything is fine. And then in the end credits, I would like some type of either we connect him to the Batman after a few movies of Batman. We connect him to Batman, or we just try to connect them to a different storyline, maybe Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, or something like that. Or we could just try to bring in General Zod, make people excited for a second movie, trying to flesh out this character a bit more. We kind of get Superman a bit more. Kind of like I think that they're going to do with Superman Legacy. I think that they're just going to be retelling the story of Superman and how Superman came to be. Kind of like I think that they're going to do in the Superman Legacy movie. I just think that it's very interesting that we had an incredible Superman with an incredible backstory, which is what I think that we should be kind of leaning into. We should be leaning more into how to build these characters out instead of trying to just kind of establish them and being like, yeah, this is Batman, this is Superman, yeah, let's do this. Like, kind of give them their own backstory, give them their own stories, and then in a different phase, we will bring them all together. So obviously he might make a cameo in one or two different movies that he might be set of in one or two different movies. But I think that for now we should just keep Superman and Batman in their own separate places, but they are in the same world, technically speaking. Another thing that I find super interesting is if I was given the controls of everything DC related, I would keep the Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad that we got from James Gunn was a really good Suicide Squad, and I just think that we should just keep it like that, and we should just give it a different story, just something a bit more fun, and we shouldn't really like bring him into the Batman or the Joker yet. I think that we should just keep them as a separate thing because they did very well as a separate movie with King Shark, Bloodsport, you have Peacemaker, you have Harley Quinn. It was just a really funny movie, and I really liked it. And I think that we should just go for another movie like that with the Suicide Squad instead of bringing it into a Batman movie or a Superman movie. I think that it should just be straight up the Suicide Squad. I still don't know what villain I would want to play with this one, but I just think that having a centralized Suicide Squad where we can flesh out the characters a bit more, come back into Harley Quinn's backstory, it shows how Harley Quinzel becomes Harley Quinn and like Joker manipulating her, and that's how we can bring in the Joker with that. And then we have Bloodsport and how he comes to be. We have Peacemaker like coming out of his show. We bring in Vigilante Peacemaker and just all of the people that like were in that one, so we bring him back. And then that conflict that he'll have against Bloodsport will be very important. Obviously we have Amanda Waller. We try to flesh out these characters on the outside, like we kind of make them shows, kind of like they did in Peacemaker, but maybe instead of shows we could do like a movie where they kind of like go into their past, kind of like I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to do, where they go into Rocket's past, and it's probably going to go into more people's pasts, but I think that that would be a very interesting concept to dive into the Suicide Squad a bit deeper, and then we have a better movie when it comes out to like being a big crossover event, like I will be explaining in a different episode. In this episode I can't really explain too much because obviously I won't have enough time to just make a 5-hour episode because I have a lot of ideas on how to fix DC. Obviously James Gunn has his own ideas, but I think that my ideas are just around a more centralized league instead of trying to go too outside and bringing in Swamp Thing and all these different ideas. That obviously it's a good idea because you give more exposure to just Batman and Superman, but people go to see those big characters. If that makes any sense to you guys, then hey, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. I guess like I just want a bit more exposure of the brand before we go into those smaller characters, kind of like what Marvel did. I would go for another Wonder Woman. I think that Gal Gadot is very good in the role, and don't get me wrong, I love the Wonder Woman that we got. The first one, the second one was terrible, but I like the first Wonder Woman that we got, and it was very good. I just think that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman has been played off too much, and I think that we should try to go for a more rooted Wonder Woman, like rooted in the Justice League sense. Like, obviously, you have the Justice League movie and stuff like that, but they felt like 3 different superheroes instead of a team. I would like to show a bit more of how Wonder Woman is a leader and how she's a solo player. And then whenever we do get her together with the Justice League, it's like she's a lot more of a team player. Obviously, in the Wonder Woman movie, it shows her being alone, but she always needs some type of help. And I think that it's very important to show a god as being a god, you know? Like, it's Wonder Woman. She's the daughter of Zeus. There has to be a way to get her to show her true colors and like being a leader and then being like somewhat of a follower or being just part of the group of the Justice League. I think that they had a very good idea with Ares being the villain. I think that they had a very good idea with Ares being the villain. I think that he's a incredible villain for Wonder Woman. Cheetah was obviously a good idea, but the way that it was executed was very badly. And so I just think that we should kind of bring in another type of like godlike villain, kind of like Black Adam. I would have personally wanted to see like a Wonder Woman and Shazam versus Black Adam type of movie. That one would have been very interesting because we would have seen Wonder Woman go up against someone that has like really similar powers to her instead of someone dressed as a cheetah. I think that that is a very interesting thing to say because then we have a bit more of that conflict that I want Wonder Woman to go through. Not really just have it like it wasn't too easy because she was losing her powers, but it was a very easy fix to that. And for some reason, Cheetah was that OP, which she shouldn't have been. The Flash. Okay, yes, I know that I am talking about this one pretty early on, but I think that it is very important to say that I think that The Flash deserves a major reboot. Everything, even after everything that Ezra Miller did, I think that we just have to get rid of Ezra Miller. I don't think that they suit the role of the Flash anymore. Obviously, with everything that went down, I don't want to get too much into that type of stuff because obviously, like, it's just a lot of illegal stuff that I don't think that they should have done. But they did it, and so now they should go with the consequences, and I think that they should find a different actor that might fit the role of Barry Allen a bit better. I think that we're going for Flashpoint too early. In James Gunn's universe, obviously they're trying to reset everything as fast as possible so that people forget the old DC and they focus on this new one. But I think that it is very important to think about the old DC in a way because the Flash is a time traveling superhero. A lot of what people like about the Flash is his time travel abilities. I think that it would be very interesting, and this is just to me because I've watched the whole show, is to bring the Flash from Grant Gustin's character. I think that we should bring that Flash because he is a very good Flash. He already has a very centralized story. I just think that the 5 seasons that came after the third one were like terrible. Right now I'm just watching it just out of pity watch basically. But it had a very good story at the beginning. The first season was amazing. The second season was almost as amazing as the first. And then the third, it obviously followed in the footsteps, but another speedster just got a bit too repetitive. But it still had a good storyline. I think that if we could just build off of what they had and make a higher budget movie instead of what the CW does, and we could make a higher budget movie where we could have the Flash in more fight scenes, where we can have the Flash kind of flesh out his character a bit more. I think that would be very interesting since we already have a show where we can derive this Flash from. I think that it would be very interesting to put the Flash up against Cobalt Blue, for example. Obviously bringing back the actor of Eddie Thawne, which is what I want to happen in the show, but there's just a lot going on there that I don't really know what's going on. They're just trying to set up a big finale since it is the last season. But I think that that is the perfect introduction to the Flash. You just do that and then bring him into the Flash movie. He becomes the new Flash in the Flash movie. And so then there we can have ties with Green Arrow. And Stephen Amell also did amazing in the role. So I think that it should be both of them coming back to reprise their role in a bigger scene, which we will then see in the movie Justice League that I am going to pitch in just a few short minutes, I hope. But we just have the Flash coming from all the time travel things. I want to put him up against the Reverse Flash, maybe Zoom, and just characters like that really do challenge the Flash. Not really like the Mirror Master girl that we had. She was just more threatening to other people than actually the Flash. It's just that the Flash was losing his speed. I think that it is just very interesting to see the Flash at full power or in Flashpoint. But the thing is that we have Ezra Miller doing the Flashpoint. So I'm not very confident in the movie. I hope it is an amazing movie. I hope I put my foot in my mouth and that's it. because I do want this movie to be very good. Another character that I'm probably going to get smoked for, and it's definitely Green Lantern. Obviously, we had Ryan Reynolds playing him in the early 2000s. I thought that was a good movie. I still don't see what was very wrong with the movie. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the comments for that. But I had a lot of fun watching the movie. I was very young when I watched it, and it was like one of the first superhero movies, live action, that I saw. I thought it was very good. Obviously, Deadpool like throws a lot of shade at Green Lantern, but I think having a more centralized Green Lantern story, just like it was said in this Ryan Reynolds version, was really good. It's just, I think it needed just a bit more of the modern CGI that we had. I think the writing had to be a bit better, but it's not that the writing was necessarily bad. I just think that it was missing that type of element. Like, I don't think that Parallax was a good enough villain for Green Lantern. I think that we should have definitely gotten a Green Lantern versus Sinestro thing, where then this will go into the Justice League movie, because I am just teasing at a lot of villains that the Justice League have. But we see that rivalry that they have. We see the rivalry that the Fear Corps and the Green Lantern Corps have against each other. We see all of that. And so we kind of understand it, and we want to see a bit more of it. Like, it just makes it a bit more interesting for everyone to digest what's going on in the movie. And so we will just like a lot more what is going on. I think that if we have a centralized Green Lantern where we explain a bit more his powers, explain a bit more the ring, and explain more like his will and everything that will make him the Green Lantern, whenever we do pair him up with the Justice League, he will be a vital member, not just some random goofball that's there. He is a random goofball, but I want to show a bit more his powers and the capacity that his powers have that weren't really shown in the Green Lantern movie, because he kind of just flew towards the sun and then just went over to like trick Parallax. Like, you kind of just had that like, he didn't really test himself very much. But I want to really test the limits of infinite will, which is what the Green Lantern does. Anything that you can think of, if you have a strong enough will, it will become stronger. So I think obviously bringing out the Green Lantern and making him that much more of an interesting character is going to be a perfect idea for our fake cinematic universe. Another character I think that didn't really get fleshed out very well in the Zack Snyder's Justice League and any other Justice League cut is Cyborg. I think that Cyborg has a very interesting personality and a very interesting character, and he's one of the founding members of the Teen Titans. So I think that we should definitely try to go for that type of storyline, where the Cyborg starts with the Teen Titans and then he gets upgraded to the Justice League. I think that is a very interesting storyline. But I would like this to just be an origin story. You know, you have Victor Stone throwing football, you know, like training for football and everything being good. And then, you know, all of a sudden an explosion happens where like his life gets turned upside down, because now he becomes half man, half cyborg. That type of strained relationship that he has with his father, and that like type of characterization that he has, from a lot of times he loses his mom in that accident. Sometimes it's just the mother box that blows up on him. A lot of these are just very good ideas, and I think that just having that where him and his dad have a strained relationship is a very good idea. And yes, it was kind of explained in the Snyder cut, but it didn't have too much of an explanation because he was thrown into the team too early. But I would like one where we have Cyborg kind of getting fleshed out and kind of like getting his own type of story arc, because we didn't have much of a story arc for Cyborg. I think that we should definitely have one where he like kind of fights himself and like these types of ideas of mental health issues. And I think that this could be a really interesting movie where we have someone that lost everything just trying to come back from that. And I think that it will be a very inspirational movie to show someone that literally lost his body, he lost his mind, he lost everything, and he became a hero from it. I think that could just really inspire the younger generation, obviously with the mental health rates and everything that is just constantly depleting. Having a character that shows what it's like to be in that situation, I think that it would just be very important. And I think that he just deserves his own story. I don't know much about Cyborg's villains because Cyborg is always a part of a team. But I think that if we have Cyborg against like a Lex Luthor type villain, obviously not Lex Luthor and like because Lex Luthor is a Superman villain, but have him against one of those type of villains, or maybe just against himself, like maybe a virus from the mother box or something that happens to where he starts to turn on himself, I think is a very interesting movie to tell. The Teen Titans is my favorite superhero team, and obviously, like I said, we already have Cyborg, we have Nightwing that already have fleshed out backgrounds. So in this new Teen Titans movie, I would like to bring about Raven, Starfire, and Beast Boy. The people that basically just gave me a childhood because I watched their show, because I just love their show. Obviously, they have Teen Titans Go, and they have the original Teen Titans show, which that's the one that I'm alluding to. We just have that original cast of people that like that group that I really like. It can start with the backstory of Starfire that they're trying to get to them. They obviously get Beast Boy in the middle of the movie, and I would like for Raven's story to kind of get being told in chunks. Okay, I would like the big like ending to be with Trigon, which Trigon is her demon dad. So I would like that to be the big ending to where we have a now rooted Teen Titans that Batman kind of uses as the Justice League's like daycare, which then we will see Damian, which then we will see Tim Drake. We will see a lot of Robins pass by there. We'll see a lot of younger superheroes pass by there. I would like their first villain to be either Hive, Brother Blood, or maybe even Trigon. But Trigon, I think that we should save that one for a bit later when we talk a bit more about the specifics of when everything gets put together. And so I would just like that to be a type of movie where they're kind of going against like this society or something. They don't go up against Deathstroke yet. I know that Deathstroke is a Teen Titans villain, but I would like to introduce that a bit later once their stories are already a bit fleshed out. Obviously, if you've read comics, you'd probably understand why. If you haven't, then I won't spoil it because I'm gonna be talking about it in the next episode or the one after that, where I will be putting everything together and it will all come together in a very good way. I have two movies left to talk about. These ones are a bit faster. We have I want to do a movie with Dr. Fate, Zatanna, and Constantine. I think that a magical movie. I think that Keanu Reeves should reprise his role. I saw an interview where he was talking that he would like to play Constantine again. So if I was able to give him that role, I would definitely give him that role. Then we have a Zatanna that I think that she's just a really interesting character. And the magic people are perfect for the later movies that I want to make. Obviously, Black Adam killed off Dr. Fate, so I didn't really like that very much, but we'll just use a different universe as Dr. Fate. And so Dr. Fate kind of like tells him, hey, like they're a couple that have like magic powers already established. And so then Dr. Fate comes in and he's like, yo, you guys are gonna die soon. So he tries to like kind of help them and kind of like fight this threat. And so they go up against a magical threat that they like kind of don't know. And this is where everything will start to allude to Darkseid. I feel like this magical threat should come from Darkseid, and I think that everyone should like focus their gears now into fighting Darkseid, which is what I would try to make this movie all about. Just a family in danger of losing each other, and then realizing that there is a bigger threat. And before anything happens, they wake up in the future and they realize that Darkseid has already won. And so then this kind of like leads to the like alludes into the idea of a big payoff. Then I would like to talk about a Justice League #1 movie where we have the Justice League against the Legion of Doom. Obviously, if you don't know who the Legion of Doom is, they are basically the Justice League, but the villains of them. You have Deathstroke, Lex Luthor, the Suicide Squad sometimes is like a part of it, like some of them might be a part of them. You have Captain Boomerang, you have Vandal Savage, you have all of these different like reverses of every one of the superheroes just in this team. And I think that it'd be very interesting to give the Justice League Doom storyline where the Justice League is attacked by someone that stole Batman's plans to attack the Justice League. Because Batman is the only person that can take out the entire Justice League because he studied them ever since the first day. He knows how they think and he knows how they work. So he comes up with ways to beat this Justice League. And so obviously I think that it'd be very interesting for us to see how Batman fares up against his own tactics and how he fares up against everyone else going up against his tactics. And then obviously this just alluding everything I want it to be building up this fight with Darkseid. Kind of like Marvel did it with Thanos. I would just like that to happen with DC, where you feel like there's a bigger storyline and it's not just filler movie and filler movie and filler movie. I would like there to be something that is kind of driving all the characters together. And I think that that would be Darkseid in the end. And obviously I would like to go after Darkseid, but that's an episode for another day. So if you have enjoyed this episode, then do stay tuned for next week. I will be releasing my part 3 of how to fix DC in the movies. And if you have enjoyed, then you should definitely hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, write a comment down below, hit that little bell so you know whenever I do upload videos. And hey, if you're not on YouTube and you're watching this on some other platform for podcasting, then follow and just hit the bell. If you can comment down below something that you just want to see or something that you think would be a very interesting idea to see with these types of movies. I would love to hear all of your opinions on the ideas that I have about everything, because obviously my ideas aren't always right and they might not always be in the right sense that you guys want it to be. But I think that some of you guys might enjoy these ideas, which is why I love putting them out on the internet. So if you have enjoyed this video, then do make sure to stick around. I'll see you all in the next one.